300, based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley, stars Gerard Butler, Lena Headey, Dominic West, Rodrigo Santoro, and David Wenham. Directed by Zack Snyder, it runs 1 hour, 56 minutes. It starts with Dilios telling the story of their King Leonidas from birth to adulthood. Xerxes' messenger threatens Sparta. Leonidas respectfully rejects the messenger's offer and needs permission from the Ephors, these corrupt, inbred fortune-tellers, to go to war, and they refuse. With no help from the Greek army, Leonidas gathers his command of 300 Spartans. They're like the special forces of the Greek army, and marches towards Xerxes' army. Along the way, they meet up with another group of inexperienced fighters who are willing to offer their help. Back home, Queen Gorgo has to try persuading the Senate to send the army to assist the Spartans, while Theron, who's been bought and paid for by Xerxes, tries stopping her. Now I got a problem right off the bat with these other politicians. Theron is the only one that's been bribed, along with the Ephors, but the rest of them are going to sit back and tell Leonidas not to go to war. It's only a matter of time before Xerxes forces his way in and takes Greece from you. But we're going to listen to these weirdos who live in the mountains and actively prevent you from defending us. Theron bitching about Leonidas promoting anarchy and war, but Xerxes is bringing it anyway. Are these supposed to be smart politicians? Are there any? The directing is average and very basic. A lot of still camera shots, which I suppose best resemble comic book panels, but nothing flashy when it comes to camera work. Still framing, slight panning, the odd POV of a person or weapon. The action, on the other hand, is almost the complete opposite of other movies' fight scenes, where their idea of intense is zooming in as far as possible and strapping the camera to a jackhammer. Say what you will about Zack Snyder, but when it comes to the action here, you'll be able to see and follow a lot of it clearly because of his patented slow-mo. The story is doing its best to be epic, but doesn't really earn it next to Spartacus and Gladiator. There's a lot of yelling, over-the-top speeches, again trying to be epic, but just feels over the top. The movie is a retelling of the ancient battle of Thermopylae, and a large part of the story involves the indignities of slavery and how the Spartans refused and fought to avoid becoming slaves to Xerxes. Frank Miller mentioned during research for the book he found out that the Greeks were one of the biggest slave owners at the time, but for the movie's sake, it needs a good guy and a bad guy. We're going to have to call 300 more fiction than history. And it was the Greek government, not Leonidas, who decided to send the Spartans in spite of the approaching Carnear festival, so they wouldn't look like Persian sympathizers. Looks like the Spartans working under the government as soldiers, in a way, were already slaves. The cinematography, when it comes to color grading, is very gold and yellow, except at night and winter, which is very blue, with a gritty, attractive grain to the picture. The lighting and color palettes used are so exaggerated that it's difficult to tell that they use a lot of blue screen backgrounds. It all blends together into a surreal, semi-realistic backdrop. I love how pompous Xerxes is about being a so-called divine being and a god, and one of his messengers proclaiming him a ruler of all the world. It almost gets to the point of being comical. The meeting between Leonidas and Xerxes is mostly played for laughs and sarcasm, and when he's convincing the hunchback Ephialtes to betray the Spartans, he says, "Unlike the cruel Leonidas who demanded that you stand, I require only that you kneel." And he keeps saying, "I am kind, I am kind." All right, we know you're not. That's why you have to keep saying it. When Ephialtes can't raise his shield, I love how Leonidas explains how the Spartans protect each other. I thought that an informative scene about the Spartans' battle strategy. My beefs. I don't like Lena Headey and Dominic West's accents, delivering their dialogue with that fancy, posh, overdone sound in their voice. They sound like they're doing a caricature of an English person. and that pisses me off. Queen Gorgo backtalks Xerxes' messenger about how only Spartan women give birth to real men. Oh, is that why you throw so many of them away? As indicated by the baby inspector at the start of the film, standing above a pit full of bones? Slave owners, baby killers. Oh yeah, what a great group of people these are. Overall, this movie was badass and a big deal when it first came out. Now, it's still alright if you're looking for loads of style. It's got lots of gore and CG blood that, oddly, never hits the ground. But these days, I look for movies with a little more substance. 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Consider donating through PayPal, or buy me a cup of coffee so I can stay awake long enough to make these things. And of course, help a brother out by hitting like or dislike, subscribing and commenting, all that good stuff. And with that, take care, and good night.